April 1787, Benjamin Franklin, talking to the Constitutional Congress, saying, "I've lived a long time, sir, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this, that God governs in the affairs of man, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, how can a great empire rise without his aid? The father of our country said, of all the dispositions and habits which lead to political prosperity, religion and morality are indispensable supports." I mean, I could read you 100 quotes of founding fathers talking about the importance of religion.
There is not a word about Christianity.
You know, Joe, I could get you quotes though from these founding fathers that did talk about Christianity.
George Washington was a deist. Benjamin Franklin.
I think this
whatever
is the
he felt obliged to say in public was not believe
the problem that we have during Christmas.
All right, hold on a second. Matt, we're falling back on the deist argument that happens an awful lot.
About Christianity.
Joe, this is exactly the reason why we have this problem during Christmas. There is a war on Christmas. Liberty Counsel represents Nathan Sage, and we're working with him to try to reverse this ridiculous thing in Newport News, Virginia. In Newport News, Virginia, they celebrate everything. They've got Santa Clauses, they've got the poinsettias, they have the snowmen. They even have what appears to everyone who looks at this, a Christmas tree, a triangle-looking tree that's decorated, but lo and behold, because it has the name Christmas attached to it, even though it's otherwise a secular symbol, they have a bias to censor that out and change it to the tree of celebration.
And Matt, you know, hold on a second, Matt. You know, let's bring a little light to this instead of all heat. Let's bring a little light to this conversation and talk about trends.
Light only comes from heat.
Okay, thank you so much, Christopher. Hold on, guys, stop. God bless us all. Just stop and let's have a meaningful conversation instead of people talking on top of each other.
Don't invite me on and tell me to keep quiet.
Well, Christopher, why don't you let other people talk for a second, okay?
You invited me
to
so
anyway, Matt,
to listen to yours.
Okay, well, you know what, Christopher? I'll never make that mistake again.
Fair
Matt, here's the question, okay? Merry Christmas and good night. Matt, let's have a conversation for a second here.
Thank you.
You're sitting here talking, and other Christians have been complaining about how there's been a war on Christmas for a long time. But you've got to admit, there has been progress made. If you look at Macy's, if you look at Lowe's, if you look at what happens, like the city of Boston, if you look at the U.S. Congress, they are starting to bring the word Christmas back in these celebrations. Now, for me personally, this doesn't really mean a whole lot, but at the same time, it bugs me when people are so politically correct that they want to take the word Christ out of Christmas. So will you admit that things are improving?
Oh, no question. They are improving, but they're improving because people are speaking up, because they're tired of this onslaught against Christmas. They're tired of the trend of the ACLU and others that espouse the views like Christopher that simply want to eliminate God and religion from the public square. And I think it is symbolic of what's happened to take a Christmas tree and rename it to something other than a Christmas tree. Now, Boston, I applaud them because tonight they lit not a holiday tree, which they intended to do about a week ago, but a Christmas tree, and that's what the mayor says it will always be now as long as he is mayor. And I applaud him. I applaud Speaker Dennis Hastert for doing the same thing. That's why we launched our Friend or Foe Christmas campaign, and on our website at lc.org we have a memo that talks about what the law is.
Okay, Christopher, go ahead.
I'm supposed to just sit and listen to a broadcast for Jerry Falwell from Lynchburg. Is that right?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The tree long predates Christmas. There's been a festival of light, in fact, and of trees, Yule logs, trees. That's why they're all from Scandinavia, since the winter solstice was first thought of, long before any mythical event in the Middle East, a birth the date of which even the Bible cannot get right and repeatedly gets wrong. That's fine. Celebrated all they like. It would be impossible to live in this country and not notice that there are lots of Christians who like to celebrate the birthday of the person they believe is their savior. You cannot possibly escape it, but we don't want it to enjoy any public preference or subsidy. And the Constitution says that we don't have to. And the progress you're talking about,
it doesn't say that, Christopher.
This guy from Lynchburg defines progress as teaching junk science to our children and leaving us the mockery of the world by pretending that we did not evolve.
Okay, I don't want to hold on a second. We're not going to debate intelligent design right here.
And he's a
But
front
Christopher,
man.
Joe,
He's a front man for the
Christopher,
fat-faced
hold on.
Reverend.
Joe, I think
who applauded
Christopher
the
is
destruction
really
of the World Trade Center.
Okay. You know what? This unfortunately is now moving into intelligent design. I want to thank you for being with us, Christopher.
Christopher has actually made my
guys,
point.
That's going to have to be it tonight. Thank both of you for being with us. Hopefully we can have this discussion in the future, and we'll actually be able to have people on that speak like adults and allow each person to talk one at a time. I mean, after all, friends, isn't that how adults talk? I don't understand it. I mean, if you've got the facts on your side, then why don't you talk, allow the other person to speak, and be courteous? Why does it have to be this way? And why is it that a discussion on faith, on something that is very, very important to tens of millions of Americans out there, why does it always seem to degenerate like this? We can talk about it. I mean, we ought to be able to talk about this like adults instead of having this rudeness, which I got to tell you, I mean, my mom didn't raise me that way. My dad didn't raise me that way. I can't understand people who behave that way. But I'm very sorry it happened tonight, and it doesn't usually happen in Scarborough country. When I first started this show, it happened once in a while. I didn't control things as well as I should have, and I apologize to you for that, but it's just not going to happen on my show tonight. It's not going to happen in the future, and I'm sorry for what you just saw. Coming up next, her crimes are going to make your blood